There is a hidden stop switch buried inside your scalp that almost nobody with thinning hair has ever been told about. It does not show up when you look in the mirror, it does not appear on a normal blood test, and no expensive shampoo can wash it away. This switch sits close to the root of your hair. When it is working against you, it sends a message to your follicles telling them to slow down, shrink, and stop producing the thick hair they once made. The name of that signal is prostaglandin D2. Most people have never heard those words before. They are told their hair is thinning because they are getting older. They are told it runs in the family. They are told to take a vitamin, buy a thicker shampoo, or simply accept it, but age alone does not explain what is happening underneath the scalp. Before we continue, we are putting together a complete natural remedy guide dedicated entirely to castor oil. Everything you can use it for, how to use it, when to use it, and exactly what seniors need to know to get real results. If that sounds like something you want, just check the link in the pinned comment and register so we can send it over to you once it is ready. Deep inside your skin are thousands of tiny hair-making structures called follicles. Think of each follicle as a small factory. When that factory is working properly, it produces strong hair and keeps that hair growing for years. But after 60, several things can begin working against it. The growth stage becomes shorter, inflammation builds around the root, hormone-sensitive follicles begin shrinking, the hair loses moisture and snaps more easily, and hidden chemical signals can tell the follicle to stop growing long before it should. The follicle may still be alive, but instead of making the thick strand it produced at 40, it begins making something finer, then shorter, then weaker. That is why thinning hair does not always disappear in one dramatic moment. It happens slowly, one weaker strand at a time. First your part looks a little wider, then more light shines through your crown, your ponytail feels smaller, your temples become harder to cover, and your barber or hairdresser begins styling around the thin areas without saying much about them. Then one day you see an old photograph of yourself, and that is when the change truly hits you. Your hair did not simply turn gray, it lost density. But here is what makes castor oil and black seed oil so interesting. Castor oil contains a thick fatty acid called ricinoleic acid. Black seed oil contains a powerful plant compound called thymoquinone. These two oils do not work in exactly the same way. Castor oil coats weak strands, reduces friction, and helps dry hair hold onto moisture. Black seed oil has been studied for its effect on scalp inflammation and heavy shedding. One helps protect the hair you still have, and the other may help create a calmer environment around the root. Two different jobs and one simple application. Cheap, easy, and hidden in plain sight. And there is another reason researchers became interested in this combination. Ricinoleic acid is connected with the same larger family of chemical signals that includes prostaglandins. Thymoquinone has been studied for its effect on inflammatory messengers. That does not yet prove this homemade mixture can switch off every cause of baldness, but it gives us a completely different way to look at thinning hair. Instead of only asking what vitamin your hair is missing, we also need to ask what is telling the follicle to stop. Picture a 68-year-old man standing under the bright bathroom light. His blood tests have come back normal, his iron looks fine, and his thyroid has been checked. But every month the crown looks thinner. He has tried vitamins, he has tried thickening shampoo, and he has poured pure castor oil over his head hoping the thickness of the oil would create thicker hair. Instead it glued his strands together and made his scalp look even more exposed. The problem was not that he needed more oil. He needed to understand the 6 switches working underneath his hair. That is what I am going to show you today. 6 hidden switches that decide whether your hair stays strong or becomes thinner after 60. You will learn why some of the hair you believe you have lost may only be breaking. You will discover the scalp inflammation that quietly pushes healthy hairs into the shedding stage. You will see how a hormone called DHT slowly shrinks sensitive follicles. And you will understand the hidden prostaglandin D2 signal that researchers found at higher levels inside bald scalp. Then at number 1, I will show you exactly how to mix castor oil with black seed oil, the correct ratio, where to place it, how long to leave it on, how often to use it, and the mistake that can leave your scalp burning, itching, and shedding even more. Do not skip number 2. Researchers placed the hidden signal from bald scalp around living human hair follicles and the hairs stopped growing normally. That single finding changed the way scientists looked at pattern hair loss. Every study mentioned is linked in the description below. One quick thing before we begin. Tell me in the comments what your age is and how long have you noticed your hair becoming thinner. 6 months, 2 years, 10 years, and where are you losing it? The front, the crown, a widening part, or all over your scalp? I read the comments because those details show me exactly what seniors are dealing with. Now let us begin with switch number 6. Number 6, the breakage switch. Every morning you look into the sink and see hair, you look at your brush and see more. You run your fingers through the ends and several short pieces come away. The natural reaction is fear because you think every hair you see means another follicle has died. But that is not always what happened. There is a major difference between a hair that sheds and a hair that breaks. A shed hair completes its cycle and comes away from the root. A broken hair snaps somewhere along the strand and the follicle may still be alive and still be growing, but the strand is too dry or weak to stay on your head. This becomes much more common after 60. As the hair ages, the strands often become finer, the scalp may produce less natural oil, and that oil does not travel down the hair as easily as it once did. Years of coloring, heat, brushing, tight hairstyles, and sunlight begin adding up, and the outside of each strand slowly becomes damaged. Think of one hair as a thin electrical wire. The strong center is protected by tiny scales on the outside. When those scales lie flat, the strand feels smooth, it bends without snapping, and it reflects light and looks healthy. But when the outer scales lift, the hair begins catching against the strands around it, it tangles, it feels rough, and then one hard stroke with a brush is enough to snap it. This is where castor oil earns its place in the mixture. From a biochemical point of view, castor oil is one of the thickest oils commonly used on hair. Its main fatty acid, ricinoleic acid, gives it that heavy and sticky texture. A very small amount can coat the outer surface of a dry strand, and that coating reduces friction. The hairs slide across each other more easily and become less likely to catch, knot, and snap during washing. Castor oil can also make dull hair look shinier because it creates a smoother surface for light to reflect from. That does not mean it has grown a new follicle, but keeping a weak hair from snapping can make the hair look fuller. This is especially important for senior women with longer hair. You may still have a fair number of hairs growing from the scalp, but if those strands keep breaking before they reach their full length, the ends become thin and uneven, the ponytail becomes smaller, the hair looks see-through, and it feels as if the scalp is losing far more hair than it actually is. Look closely at what collects in your sink. Are many of the hairs short? Do the broken ends look rough? Are they much shorter than the rest of your hair? That is a strong sign that breakage is part of the problem. Now here is the mistake. People hear that castor oil coats the hair, so they use half a bottle. They pour it over the scalp and pull it through every strand. The hair becomes heavy and sticky. Then they scrub it 3 or 4 times trying to wash the oil away, and all that pulling, rubbing, and shampooing can break the exact strands they were trying to protect. A review of hair oils found weak evidence that castor oil can improve shine, but no strong clinical evidence that castor oil alone grows new hair. That is why we use it as the protector in this mixture, not as a miracle cure. You need a thin coating, not a helmet of oil. And this is the first reason we combine it with black seed oil. Black seed oil is lighter, it spreads more easily, and it helps loosen the thick castor oil so you can apply a small amount without gluing the hair together. Castor oil protects the strand and black seed oil makes the mixture easier to spread. But protecting the hair shaft is only the first switch. If full-length hairs are falling from the root, something deeper may be happening. And number 5 is the scalp problem many seniors keep calling simple dryness. Number 5, the inflammation switch. A healthy scalp should not burn every day. It should not feel sore when you move your hair. It should not itch so badly that your fingers are constantly scratching it. Yet many people live with these symptoms for years. They see flakes and call it dry skin, they add more product, they scratch the flakes away, they cover the scalp with oil, and then they wonder why more hair appears in the shower. Your scalp is living tissue and every hair follicle sits inside that tissue. It depends on the skin around it for protection, oxygen, and a healthy growth cycle. When the scalp remains inflamed, the follicle is trying to grow inside a difficult environment. It is like trying to grow a plant in soil that is constantly being disturbed. The root may still be alive, but it cannot perform at its best. Scalp inflammation can come from many places. Very hot water, strong shampoo, hair dye, fragrance, product buildup, scratching, an allergy, dandruff, or an oil that simply does not agree with your skin. Sometimes the scalp becomes bright red, but not always. It may only feel tender, you may notice pain when you move the hair from one side to the other, and the roots may feel sore even though you have not worn a tight hairstyle. Then the shedding slowly increases. Black seed oil becomes important here because it contains thymoquinone. Thymoquinone is one of the main active compounds inside black seed, and it is known for its antioxidant and anti-inflammatory actions. In simple language, it helps control some of the chemical messengers that keep inflammation active. A small double-blind trial studied 20 people with a heavy shedding condition called telogen effluvium. 10 used a scalp lotion containing 0.5% Nigella sativa, which is the plant that produces black seed, and 10 used a placebo lotion. After 3 months, 70% of those using the black seed lotion showed improvement. Researchers also measured increases in hair density and hair thickness, and reported less scalp inflammation in many of the treated patients. That was a small study, and it does not prove that a bottle of pure black seed oil reverses every type of hair loss. But it gives us a powerful clue. When inflammation is pushing hairs out too early, calming the area around the follicle may help the scalp hold on to more of them. And the first change may not appear in the mirror. The first change may be how the scalp feels. Less itching, less soreness, less burning, and fewer flakes around the roots. Then you may begin noticing fewer hairs during washing. This is where people become impatient. They use the oil twice, they stare at the crown, nothing looks different, and they decide it failed. But your hair grows slowly. A strand forming underneath the skin cannot suddenly become several inches long in 7 days. The scalp may calm down quickly, but visible hair takes much longer. This is why you track comfort and shedding before you judge density. But there is one rule you must remember. Natural does not mean allergy-free. Black seed oil can cause a skin reaction in some people, and there are published reports of allergic contact dermatitis and even rare severe reactions after it was placed on the skin. Burning does not mean the follicles are waking up. Redness does not mean blood is rushing toward new hair. Peeling does not mean old skin is making room for growth. Those are signs that your scalp may be reacting badly. That is why number 1 includes a patch test before the mixture goes anywhere near your head. But inflammation is not the only switch. A scalp can look clean and calm while every new hair still returns thinner than the last. That happens when the follicle's growing window begins closing too early. Number 4, the short growth switch. Every strand on your head follows a cycle. It grows, it rests, it sheds, and then if the follicle is healthy, another hair begins. The growing stage is called anagen, but you do not need to remember that word. Just think of it as the factory being switched on. During this stage, the follicle keeps building the hair, and the longer the growth stage lasts, the thicker and longer the strand can become. When you are younger, most of the hairs on your head remain in this growing stage, which is why the hair can become long, dense, and heavy. But with age and certain types of thinning, the growing stage becomes shorter. The hair stops earlier, it rests sooner, and then it falls before it has reached the size of the hair that came before it. The next strand returns finer, then the next one is finer again. The follicle has not disappeared, it has become smaller. This process is called miniaturization. Think of a factory that once produced thick rope, then begins making string, then thread. Eventually, the strand becomes so fine that you can barely see it. This explains why early action matters so much. It is easier to support a follicle that is still making a weak hair than one that has been silent for many years. It also explains why no serious hair routine should promise full results in 7 days. Even when you improve the condition of the scalp, the follicle still needs time. A new hair must form beneath the skin, it must come through the opening, and then it must grow long enough for your eye to notice it. That takes months, not days. The first 12 weeks are not about watching a bald area suddenly fill in. They are about watching the direction of the problem. Is the shedding slowing? Is the scalp calmer? Are fewer strands snapping? Are short new hairs appearing near the part? Does the crown look the same instead of becoming worse? Sometimes stopping the decline is the first victory. And here is where most people ruin their own test. They change 5 things at once. A new shampoo, 3 supplements, 2 oils, an onion mixture, and a scalp brush. Then if the shedding changes, they have no idea what helped, or if the scalp begins burning, they do not know what caused it. Keep the routine simple. Take clear photographs before you begin. Use the same room, the same lighting, the same hairstyle, and the same distance from the camera. Photograph your hairline, both temples, the center part, and the crown. Then repeat those pictures every 4 weeks, not every day. Daily checking makes slow progress impossible to see. 4-week photographs reveal what your memory cannot. But there is a deeper reason some follicles enter a shorter growth stage. It is not simply dry hair. It is a powerful hormone signal that can change the size of the follicle itself. That brings us to number 3. Number 3, the DHT shrink switch. Most people have heard of testosterone, but far fewer understand DHT. DHT is a stronger hormone made from testosterone, and in people with sensitive follicles, DHT attaches to tiny receiving points around the hair root. Over time, the follicle responds by shrinking, its growing stage becomes shorter, and each new strand comes back finer. This is one of the main forces behind genetic pattern hair loss. For many men, thinning begins at the temples or crown. For many women, the center part becomes wider and the top loses density. The hair may remain around the sides and back while the top becomes thinner. The important word is sensitive, because not every person responds to DHT in the same way. 2 men may have similar hormone levels, but one keeps thick hair into his 80s while the other begins losing the crown at 40. The difference is not always the amount of hormone. It is how strongly the follicle reacts to it. This is where the language around black seed oil often becomes exaggerated. You will hear people say thymoquinone blocks DHT and make it sound as if applying black seed oil is the same as using a tested DHT targeting medicine. That has not been clearly shown in human scalp trials, but that does not make black seed oil useless. A hormone-sensitive follicle can also be surrounded by dryness, irritation, and inflammation. Black seed oil may help with that surrounding environment. It may calm an irritated scalp, and it may help reduce some of the stress around a follicle that is already under pressure. But it should not be sold as a guaranteed hormone blocker. This distinction protects you from wasting time. Use the mixture to support the scalp and protect weak strands. But if your hairline has moved backwards for years or your crown is becoming steadily more visible, find out whether you have pattern hair loss. You do not have to choose between a natural routine and a proper diagnosis. You can use both. The earlier you understand the pattern, the more chance you have of protecting follicles that are still alive. But DHT is not the only signal working against the root. Researchers studying bald scalp found another chemical sitting at much higher levels in the areas where hair had stopped growing properly. This signal did something shocking. It directly slowed the growth of living human hair follicles, and this is why you were told not to skip number 2. Number 2, the prostaglandin D2 stop switch. Your body uses tiny chemical messengers to control what cells do. Some tell tissue to grow, some tell it to rest, some create inflammation, and some help control the hair cycle. Prostaglandins are part of that messaging system, and they do not all behave the same way. Some prostaglandin signals may support hair growth and others can slow it down. Prostaglandin D2, also called PGD2, is one of the signals that can tell the follicle to stop lengthening the hair normally. Researchers compared bald scalp with areas that were still producing hair in men with pattern baldness. They found more of the enzyme used to make PGD2 inside the bald areas, and they also found more PGD2 itself. Then they placed PGD2 around living human hair follicles, and the follicles stopped lengthening normally. The signal had reached the root and pressed the brake. Think about what that means. The follicle may not simply be hungry. It may be receiving an active message telling it to slow down. You could take an expensive vitamin, eat a perfect breakfast, and use the finest shampoo. But if a chemical signal keeps pressing the brake, adding more nutrients may not solve the entire problem. That is why this discovery became so important. For years, most hair advice focused on what the follicle needed, things like protein, iron, zinc, and biotin. Those nutrients matter when a person is deficient, but the PGD2 discovery created a different question. What is telling the follicle to stop? Now we come back to our 2 oils. Black seed oil contains thymoquinone, and the small black seed lotion trial was built partly around its effect on inflammatory messengers, including pathways connected with prostaglandins. The patients using the black seed lotion showed less inflammation and better hair measurements than the placebo group. Castor oil contains ricinoleic acid, and ricinoleic acid clearly interacts with part of the prostaglandin system inside the body. Researchers have shown that it activates a receptor called EP3 in smooth muscle, and that finding explains some of the strong effects castor oil has when swallowed. Now listen carefully, because this is where many scripts make a claim that the research has not yet proven. EP3 is not the same receiving point as the PGD2 receptor involved in hair loss. We do not yet have a large human scalp trial proving that plain castor oil switches off PGD2 and regrows lost hair. The biological connection is interesting, but the final proof is still missing. A recent review describes castor oil as promising for hair quality and possibly relevant to the PGD2 pathway, but it also says better clinical research is needed. So what do we actually have? A real stop signal found at higher levels in bald scalp, a black seed compound that may calm inflammatory messengers, a castor oil fatty acid that interacts with the wider prostaglandin system, one oil supporting the environment around the root and one oil protecting the weak strand that grows from it, 2 mechanisms and 1 application. Not a guaranteed cure, but a far more sensible strategy than pouring thick oil over your head and hoping for overnight growth. And that brings us to number 1. Number 1, the 2-oil follicle formula. The biggest mistake people make is using equal amounts of both oils. Or worse, they fill the entire bowl with castor oil and add only a few drops of black seed oil. The mixture becomes thick like glue, it sticks the hairs together, it takes several washes to remove, and then all that scrubbing creates more tangles and breakage. The correct mixture needs to be light enough to spread across the scalp. Begin with 1 teaspoon of castor oil and add 2 teaspoons of black seed oil. That is 1 part castor oil to 2 parts black seed oil. Castor oil is the heavy protector and black seed oil is the lighter carrier that makes the blend easier to spread. This ratio is not a clinically proven medicine dose. It is a practical starting mixture for topical hair care. If your hair is very fine, make it lighter by using half a teaspoon of castor oil with 2 teaspoons of black seed oil. Do not add 6 more ingredients. Do not add lemon juice, do not add baking soda, do not add raw garlic, do not add chili powder, and do not pour in several essential oils because someone told you burning means the follicles are opening. Burning means irritation. Keep the first test simple. 2 oils. Before the mixture touches your scalp, perform a patch test. Mix a few drops in the same ratio, place a tiny amount behind your ear or on the inside of your arm on healthy, unbroken skin, leave it for 30 minutes, wash it away, and then watch the area for at least 24 hours. 48 hours is even better if your skin reacts easily. Do not put the mixture on your scalp if the test area becomes red, itchy, swollen, painful, or covered in bumps. Once the patch test is clear, make only enough mixture for one treatment. Place 1 teaspoon of castor oil and 2 teaspoons of black seed oil into a clean dish and mix them well. Now part your hair so you can reach the scalp. Do not simply pour the mixture over the top of your head because the oil needs to touch the skin without drowning the hair. Dip your fingertips into the mixture and apply small amounts along the thinning areas. For a widening part, apply it along the part, then create another part about an inch away and repeat. For the crown, use a second mirror or ask someone you trust to help you reach the skin. For the temples, use very little because oil can run down toward the eyes. Never place this mixture on your eyelids, never drip it into your eyes, and do not use it as an eyelash treatment. Once the oil is on the scalp, massage gently for 2 to 3 minutes. Use the soft pads of your fingers and not your nails. Move the scalp in small circles, do not rub the hairs into a knot, do not pull at the roots, and do not massage for 20 minutes until the scalp feels sore. You are spreading the mixture, not forcing oil into the follicle. During the first 2 applications, leave it on for 30 minutes. If the scalp remains completely calm, you may slowly increase that time to 45 minutes, and later you may leave it for up to 1 hour. You do not need to sleep with it overnight. 8 hours of oil does not mean 8 times more growth. It means more buildup, more oil on the pillow, more chance of the mixture reaching your face, and more work when you try to wash it away. After 30 to 60 minutes, wet the hair with lukewarm water. Do not use water that is extremely hot. Place a small amount of gentle shampoo into your hands, spread it across your palms first, then work it carefully into the oily parts of the scalp. Rinse thoroughly and you may need a second light wash. But do not shampoo 4 times until the scalp feels tight and dry because that can remove too much natural oil and restart the inflammation switch. Use the mixture once a week during the first 2 weeks. You are not testing hair growth yet, you are testing whether your scalp can tolerate it. Watch for itching, redness, bumps, soreness, or heavy buildup. If the scalp remains comfortable, increase to twice per week. Do not assume daily use will give faster results because the follicle follows its own growth cycle and does not care how impatient you are. More oil cannot force 1 month of growth to happen in one night. Now let us build your 12-week plan. During week 1, perform the patch test and 1 short scalp treatment. During week 2, repeat the treatment once and pay attention only to how the scalp feels. During weeks 3 and 4, use it once or twice per week and track the itching, soreness, dryness, and breakage. At the end of week 4, take your first set of comparison photographs. During weeks 5 through 8, continue the same amount and do not increase the oil just because the mirror has not changed yet. At week 8, compare the photographs and look closely at the center part, the temples, the crown, and the number of short broken hairs around the front. During weeks 9 through 12, continue only if the scalp remains healthy. At the end of 12 weeks, ask 5 questions. Is my scalp calmer? Is there less hair in the shower? Are fewer strands breaking? Does my part look the same or slightly narrower? And is the routine simple enough to continue? If every answer is no, do not keep using the mixture for another year simply because you hope it will suddenly begin working. Find out why the hair is thinning. Sudden all-over shedding can happen after illness, surgery, severe stress, rapid weight loss, or a medication change. Low iron and thyroid problems can also affect hair, and a topical oil cannot replace something your entire body is missing. And there are certain warning signs you should never treat with oil alone. Round bald patches, a painful or burning scalp, bleeding or open sores, thick crusts, heavy shedding that begins suddenly, a smooth shiny area where the follicles seem to have disappeared, loss of eyebrow hair at the same time, or a hairline that is moving backwards with redness and bumps around the roots. Those signs need proper attention, and the earlier certain types of hair loss are found, the better the chance of protecting the follicles that remain. Number 6 was the breakage switch. Not every strand in the sink has fallen from the root. Some hairs snap because the outside becomes dry and weak, and a small amount of castor oil can coat the strand, reduce friction, and improve shine. Number 5 was the inflammation switch. A sore, itchy scalp is a difficult place for healthy hair. Black seed oil contains thymoquinone, and a small human trial found promising improvements in shedding, hair thickness, density, and scalp inflammation. Number 4 was the short growth switch. As the growth stage becomes shorter, every new strand has less time to become thick and long, which is why you measure progress in months and not days. Number 3 was the DHT shrink switch. DHT can slowly shrink sensitive follicles in pattern hair loss. Black seed oil has not been proven to block scalp DHT like a tested treatment, but it may help support the inflamed skin around a follicle under pressure. Number 2 was the prostaglandin D2 stop switch. Researchers found more PGD2 in bald scalp and then showed that PGD2 directly slowed the growth of human hair follicles. That means some thinning involves an active break signal, not simply a lack of vitamins. And number 1 was the 2-oil follicle formula. 1 part castor oil, 2 parts black seed oil. Patch test first, apply a small amount to the scalp, massage gently, leave it for 30 to 60 minutes, wash it away carefully, and use it once or twice each week. Then track the results for 12 weeks. This mixture cannot rebuild every dead follicle. It cannot reverse a form of hair loss that has destroyed the root. And it cannot correct low iron, thyroid disease, or another hidden problem inside the body. But it may help calm an irritated scalp, it may protect weak hairs from breaking, it may improve shine and softness, and when follicles are still alive but struggling, it may help create a better environment for the hair you still have. That is the real opportunity, not magic and not overnight growth. Protect the strand, calm the scalp, reduce the pressure around the root, and act before a weak follicle becomes a silent one. Most people wait until the scalp is clearly visible. Do not wait that long. The first warning may be a whiter part, a smaller ponytail, more light shining through the crown, short, broken hairs around the temples, or more strands than usual in the shower. Those early signs matter. A follicle producing a thin hair is still producing hair, and that is different from a follicle that has been inactive for years. Start gently, take photographs, track your shedding, protect the strands you still have, and find out which switch is working against you. Because the oil is only one part of the answer. The real power comes from understanding what is happening underneath your hair. Now tell me in the comments what is your age and how long has your hair been thinning. Then tell me which area worries you most. The temples, the hairline, the crown, the center part, or all over shedding. I read every comment and your answer may help another senior realize they are not the only person dealing with this. Want to know the 3 foods that give an aging follicle the raw materials it needs to build stronger hair? Then watch the video linked below. The final food is one most seniors stopped eating years ago, yet it provides 2 nutrients directly involved in normal hair structure. Click on that video now, subscribe so you do not miss the next part, and I will see you there. This video is for general information only. Speak with a qualified healthcare professional about sudden, severe, painful, patchy, or unexplained hair loss.